What's going on, Stim Junkies? Hi, Stim Ace and Alex Hammerstone here, and we are coming to you live with episode 5 of the High Stim Experience. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. What's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Man, not too much. I'm a little bit out of it. I'm on stim break right now, so your boy's suffering over here, but I'm making it through one day at a time.
So when you're on a Stim break, do you still drink regular coffee in the morning, or do you cut everything off entirely?
So I kind of like scaled back at first, um, to where because I was like at first I was like doing a break from like weight training, and I was still doing my cardio, so I was still like doing some fat burners for cardio. And then now I'm off everything, no caffeine, no nothing, no coffee. Like I had like this like nootropic coffee that has like 150 milligrams of caffeine and some like cognatic and stuff in it. I almost made myself a cup of that this morning, and then I was just like, I'm just gonna do nothing. So nothing cold turkey until I think Friday. We're gonna be back from our trip, and I'll be back to business.
Have you tried that mushroom coffee I sent your way yet? That really nasty one?
I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was
Really?
that. Yeah, it was very earthy, but it was not as good as the one I have. I told you about. I forget what the one I have is called, um, but the one I had prior is like really, really tasty. And I thought the one you gave me was like, yeah, it's definitely you could tell it's not regular coffee.
Bro, it's so weird because a lot of times you get these advertisements on Facebook, on Instagram, and it's always like these third party companies from these websites, and you never know if they're reliable or not. So the first thing I do is I ask ChatGPT, is this website legit or not? And I don't know what it was. I got recommended this company for that mushroom coffee. I'm forgetting the name, but apparently they had a lot of good reviews and it seemed pretty legitimate. The price wasn't too bad. I think it was buy one, get one, like 50% off or something. And I figured, you know what? I think I paid like a total of $45 for the box that I sent you plus a second box because I did get two of them. So I figured for $45, even if it's a dud, it's not such a bad loss. So I figured I'd give it a shot. But I don't know, there's just something about that flavor. And I'm usually okay with mushroom extracts. I don't have an issue with lion's mane or anything like that. But I don't know, there's just something about that coffee that really rubs me the wrong way. I don't know, man. I tried different variations. I tried adding some sugar-free caramel to it. I tried adding it just with the Splendas and with my half and half to give it a little bit more thickness. I don't know, man. I just didn't like it, and it wasn't really doing much for me. They were advertising it as this thing that really cleanses your system, and they had this whole elaborate video package talking about it and how it clears your system and how it's good for longevity and all that. And I don't know, man. Maybe Heist Maze fell prey to a little bit of marketing, but freaking crazy, man. Absolutely insane. So anyway, we have a lot of topics to discuss today, man. Actually, three particular topics, but ones that I think we're going to spend a little bit of time dissecting each of them. And obviously, the big topic we're going to start with today is the Jake Paul KO because, this guy's been on a boxing career, or if you want to call it a career, because a lot of people have very mixed opinions. His brother Logan Paul's in the WWE, and I've said numerous times on the show that I think he's really good at what he does, especially for somebody that hasn't been doing it for that long. But Jake Paul has been boxing for a while, and a lot of people are very unhappy with a lot of the performances. They're saying it's scripted and whatnot, especially that fight he had with Mike Tyson. Everyone thought that Tyson was going to knock him out, and he didn't. And they went the full length of the match, however many rounds it was. And I don't know, people said it was scripted. What do you think about Jake Paul in general with his whole boxing career, and what do you make of it all?
It's weird because it's hard to say like when it comes to this stuff as far as like being scripted or like being thrown because there's an element of like fighting and stuff where people have like realized that leaning into the theatrics of it is what makes money, and like boxing and like MMA would have like kind of fallen off the edge if it was like not for people kind of realizing that, like the Conor McGregors of the world. And you see a lot of fighters, some are good at it, some are bad at it, where they like try to like become like a character and like hype up fights and build drama. And obviously when you talk about Jake Paul, you're just on the extreme of that spectrum, right? um but then it becomes like, well, if they realize that hyping up the fights and doing all this is going to build drama and make more money, who's to say they wouldn't be open to someone going, hey, if we let this fight go this many rounds, we'll pay you an extra $100,000 because we know we'll be able to put in more sponsor ads and we're going to make more money, so then we can pay you more money. And it's like, who knows how corrupt that system could get, you know? But the one thing that I do see is like the people who think he's like completely like not a legitimate athlete at all. They're like, I could beat him in a fight. I was like, okay, hold up. Like, just because he's not, you might not think he's like the most legitimate freaking fighter in the world, doesn't mean he's a complete freaking goon out there. I mean, I don't know about you, but have you ever done like a boxing class or like an MMA class or anything like that?
I used to do kickboxing a long time ago when I was a lot younger, and I remember it being very, very intense and having to take a lot of breaks to catch my breath in between.
Yeah, man. I remember the first time I did a Muay Thai class, and I was in good shape. This was like this was I was like really into weightlifting, but I was still pretty into running, and I hadn't bulked up a lot yet, so I was probably like around 200 pounds and like in really good physical shape, I thought. And I went to this class and I got freaking destroyed, man. I was so gassed and winded and just exhausted. And I left there, my whole body was freaking sore. Man, like, just to be in a boxing ring and go a couple rounds is freaking impressive. But you know, at the same time, how legitimate is are the fights he's having? I don't know. But then again, you know, we did watch him get his freaking jaw wrecked. So
Speaking of watching him get his jaw wrecked, I'm going to pull up the clip right now. I finally figured out how to actually add videos here, so we're learning, we're upgrading every week.
And his
We're gonna
chin
watch
served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face. He knew it right away. He said, woo! I know that's Ric Flair, and he came out not to Ric Flair. He came out to Hulk Hogan, but he's up on his feet.
Yeah, man. So pretty pretty crazy stuff over there, man. That was a scary punch, bro. And apparently his jaw got broken, shattered, whatever you want to call it. And it's funny because, you know, in the age of AI today, there's a lot of Photoshop out there. I saw some ridiculous pictures people were posting of his jaw literally blown up to like 3 times the size. And I haven't verified it, but I'm like 99% sure that was a fake image. It was exaggerated or definitely enhanced. And then you have this image over here. This one supposedly is legitimate, where they actually wired his jaw shut. I don't know. You think this is legit, or you think this is BS?
jeez, that's the thing. Who's to say anymore? Like me and my girlfriend were just having this discussion yesterday, where it's like anything see, anytime you see anything like that's impressive or funny or like just whatever on the internet now, it's like it's crazy that our first thought has to be, is this real?
Bro, it drives me crazy, man. Even on Instagram, you know, it's weird because I get a lot of recommendations. People think like on Instagram, I am mostly following like, pre-workout supplement brands and stuff like that. But I also follow a lot of animal channels. I like animals a lot. I like seeing cat videos and a lot of like exotic cat videos and stuff. And a lot of times you get these videos that are so crazy. And then it's like, okay, this is obviously AI, you know? So in general, a lot of AI is very, very annoying because you don't know what's legit and whatnot. I think this image here might be real. I'm not really sure. The other one, I actually don't have it here, but with the one that he had the jaw blown up completely, I think that one was BS. But yeah, crazy stuff either way, man. He got knocked out. And again, I'm reading another article somewhere, and I don't know how legit this is, but apparently Jake Paul wants to sue the guy that he fought, Anthony Joshua, because he says he didn't follow the script. I think that's for sure bullshit, right? That's got to be a fake article.
I think at that point we're probably just reading made up crap on the internet.
You know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, whether you don't know if it's scripted or not, or if it's somewhat scripted, my only thing about it is like I do believe there's a level of scripting when it comes to these fights. But here's the thing: people are betting real money on this stuff. Isn't there like super strict regulations for when you're betting on stuff? I mean, you look at the NBA, there was this whole scandal a couple of months ago with insider information. Certain players were doing things specifically, to make the cut or whatever you want to call it when it comes to these gambling laws and, to win money, lose money, whatever it is. And that was a whole scandal. A bunch of people got arrested over that. So when it comes to gambling, especially when it comes to fighting, don't people take that stuff super seriously when it comes to everything being on the uppity up?
I mean, man, the speed at which a dollar can convince someone is always mind blowing, man. Like you think of, there's people who have freaking robbed people at gunpoint for $20. So when you talk about having 100,000 on the line, when you talk about having $500,000 on the line, people are willing to take some freaking risks.
I'm seeing so many stories in this day and age, especially in the last couple of months, just about crime in general. And I'm in New York City, so we're in a big city over here, and there's always shit going on here, no matter what. But I feel like lately I've just been seeing so much more. So the question is, has it always been there, but they're now just sensationalizing it a little bit more, or is there an actual increase in crime? I mean, who the hell knows? It's a big city, but I just, I feel like that's an issue that we've been having for a while already right now, especially for the past couple of months. But do you see Jake Paul going back in the ring? Do you think he's going to call it quits after this? Where do you see his career going forward?
I mean, I think he's still young, and I think he's still he's going to pursue. I think he's going to follow the money. I think. I mean, I think there's a part of him that's driven by, having an athletic endeavor to pursue, but I think more so he's getting to the point where he's just like figuring out what's the next career move, and this has just kind of been the path he's on that's made sense for the time being. And I think that can shift, and I don't think he's necessarily done with the boxing thing, but at the same time it's like, who knows? Like, I think if a movie studio was like, hey, we think you'd be good in our movie, all of a sudden he'd be an actor. It's just, you never know. Like, it doesn't seem like he's into boxing enough to like try to really become like a full-time, legitimate, respected boxer. But at the same time, he's obviously taken it serious enough to get to the point where he could have, respectable performances. So who's to say, I could be talking out my ass.
Do you maybe see him joining his brother Logan Paul in the WWE and forming some sort of tag team? Because I'll tell you right now, man, that would cause nuclear heat.
I can see him becoming involved to a certain degree, but I don't think he's going to do it at the level that Logan has, because I don't think he's willing to put in the work that Logan has to become like that credible as far as in-ring performance goes. And it's like that's like the netting that's holding the whole Logan Paul situation together. It's because it's like, if he was like this YouTuber, whatever guy who came in and started getting like all this TV time, and then he was like not even doing anything impressive in the ring or botching or whatever, like it would be like torn apart. Like, part of what makes him like a good heel is it's like, man, screw this guy. But at the same time, he's like backing it up, so you kind of hate him even more. But like, if it was like, screw this guy, and then he was a bad wrestler too, it would be like go away heat, not, it wouldn't be the kind of heat where it's like you want to see him get beat up and get his. It'd be like, why are you wasting my television time with this guy? So I think incorporating Jake, I think it could be incorporated, but I don't see it to the level of like them becoming a tag team or him starting to do any kind of full-time run or anything like that.
I think if they brought him in as a manager, or just to be in Logan's corner for a match, and then maybe there's some shenanigans and he helps him win a title or something, I think that would be very interesting. Just have him go out there, be a character, and just talk a lot of shit. They're both good at talking shit. We got to give him props where props are due. They're both really good shit talkers. Logan obviously is able to back it up. He is very gifted and very talented, and I don't doubt that he's putting in the work, and I don't doubt that Jake Paul's put in work as well. But like you said, maybe he didn't commit quite enough to going down this path, because I don't think this is something that he's going to go into 150%. I'm not saying that he's not dedicated. He definitely is, but let's remember where him and Logan come from. They started on YouTube doing like prank videos and stuff like that, edgy type of content. And then they kind of slowly morphed into going into these other ventures that they've been going into. So I think that's part of the reason why they both get a lot of heat, because kind of like in wrestling where, we spoke about this on one of the earlier episodes, where people are kind of, people in the business were mad at Logan because he quote unquote didn't pay his dues, you know? So maybe people look at Jake the same way. They're like, you know, maybe he didn't pay his dues. Maybe he's riding that YouTube fame. And, you know, that's why now he's getting into boxing. And then it doesn't help that a lot of these fights felt very scripted. And the fact that he fought people that are way older than him, you could say past their prime, such as Mike Tyson, you know, and everyone thought that Tyson was going to be the one to break his jaw, if anything, or maybe even bite off his ear. But ended up not being him, ended up being Anthony Joshua, which is pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, but I think people really underestimate like what age does to somebody. Like people really thought like we were gonna get prime Tyson back after he just decides to train for a couple months, and it's like I don't care like how great he was, like age and all that. It's like nobody's escaping father time, you know what I'm saying? So even though he could post up some training clips and it could, you know, be reminiscent of his prime, he doesn't have that same power, he doesn't have that same speed, and more than anything, he's not going to have like the, you know, the same endurance behind it. So if he could have these glimpses of like his old self, it's like, yeah, but that's not going to last throughout an entire fight, you know? But man, I was watching some clips of like prime Tyson back in the day. It's just terrifying. I could not imagine being in the ring with that guy.
Bro, he back then had probably the thickest neck that I've ever seen. And, you know, I'm actually somebody that does train neck, believe it or not. Can't really see it at this angle, but I got a pretty thick neck also. And neck is actually very easy to train because it's a muscle that's not super utilized when it comes to training. So literally, if you just have like 5 or 10 pound plate and you're doing the extensions and, you know, the neck raises and all that, it blows up pretty quickly. But then I noticed when you stop training it for a couple of months, it kind of shrinks back down. So it's one of those muscle groups that you want to work on regularly, even at a low weight, but it actually blows up very quickly. And I know they have football players do it and combat fighters because apparently it can help you prevent concussions and stuff like that. I don't know the science behind it, but I'm assuming it's holding up your head. So maybe that has something to do with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got a pretty thick neck. I don't know if it's a combination of the way I train and then the wrestling with bridges and all the kind of stuff you do. But it's held up pretty good for me. I've had one serious concussion in my entire wrestling career. So fingers crossed that never happens again.
Oh my God. What was that like?
Dude, weirdest experience of my life. So I wake up and I have a note on my nightstand, and it's from another wrestler. His name is Davey Richards. You know Davey Richards?
Yeah, the Wolves.
Yeah, so he's a legitimate. He was like a paramedic, and he was in like medical school. Like, so I had a note from him on my nightstand, and I wake up and I call my girlfriend, and basically what she ends up telling me is like once I get the story from her and from Davey and from some other people, I've finished my wrestling match. I worked a main event match like 25 minutes with Willie Mack. Everything went fine. Nobody knew anything was wrong. I got to the back, and I guess I went up. Davey, I was like, I feel kind of weird. Like, did everything go right? And then I like over time, I just started asking more and more questions, and then he kind of realized something was up. And Courtney said I would call her in my hotel room, and I'd be like, babe, I don't know where I am. What's going on? Where am I? She's like, you're in a hotel room. I was like, where? She's like, in Texas. I was like, why am I in Texas? Because you were wrestling out there. Wrestling? What company am I wrestling for? She's like, you're with MLW. I was like, when did I wrestle? She's like, you already wrestled. It's done. You got kind of rocked in your match. You need to just you everything's okay. You just need to kind of relax and try to get some rest. And then she'd I'd go through all these questions. She'd kind of calm me down, talk me down. She'd get me to turn off all the lights, lay in bed. She's like, okay, now just relax and try to go to sleep. Okay. 5 minutes later, her phone would ring, and she would have to repeat this for hours. She said the same loop just kept happening, like over and over and over. And I guess like Davey had got me to my room and checked me out and said like everything looked like it was a minor concussion. I was gonna be all right. Just get some rest. But I guess like all night I just kept doing that. And then by the time I woke up in the morning and called her, Like this time, the conversation kind of stuck, and I was like, okay. So, and she's like, I scheduled your Uber for the airport. It's like, okay. And I was like, I'm gonna go get breakfast. And then it was like so weird because like earlier, I guess like my memory was just like you could talk to me, and then 2 minutes later it was gone. And then at this point, I could kind of hold on to things in the morning. Um, like I knew I had talked to Courtney. I knew she had explained like something went wrong. I was just like realizing where I'm at, what's going on. But like I went and had breakfast, and then I'm like packing my bags and like trying to make sure everything's good to go. And then I'm like, wait, did I eat? Did I have breakfast? And then I'm like, I had to like really think about it. And I'm like, okay, yes, I went and I had breakfast. I think I remember drinking orange juice. Like it was so weird. And then like that whole rest of that day, it was like I could remember like the situation and like generally what was going on, but it was like I had like an hour at a time, and then like anything beyond that was like slowly start disintegrating into like the void. And then like once I got home and like got through the next day, everything was fine. Like I had no lingering side effects, no like that whole memory like coming in and out like stopped. Like I completely fine. But that whole day of the wrestling match never came back. I've freaking no idea what happened. Like there's a whole part of my life that's just gone, you know? Freaking insane. And super scary because like you see movies where it's kind of like depicted that way, or you hear people kind of explain it that way, and you always think there's a bit of exaggeration, right? Like you always think there's a bit of like, oh yeah, well it's not exactly like that, you know, because it's like how could it be? That just doesn't make sense. You can't grasp it until you go through it. And then like going through it, absolutely terrifying. And like absolutely terrifying that there's people who have that one traumatic concussion, and then that's the way the rest of their life is. Like they're just like they can only like be coherent for hours at a time, and then like they will like never they're like struggle to remember the day prior for the rest of their life. Like that's insane, you know? So definitely a huge wake up call to be like, you know, kind of protective about the way you know not so willy-nilly about taking crazy bumps in matches, because everyone wants to say that, you know, like, oh, I'm fine, I've been wrestling this long and I'm fine, nothing's ever happened to me, and blah, blah. Yeah, well, when it happens, it happens. It's not like, you know, we're just all basically lucky. That's all it is, because I watched the match back and nothing went wrong. Like I still to this day don't know how it happened. Like maybe it was a head kick where I didn't like move with it enough. Maybe it was just a big bump where we landed too. I have no clue. There's no obvious part of the match where I was like, oh, that's the concussion. Just something that I've done 100 times, just was slightly off that one time, you know?
That's what's scary, because usually when you hear a big story on one of these wrestling websites from a wrestler getting a concussion and it's a big deal and then they're taking time off or whatever, usually you can always pinpoint it. You see where they landed on their head or something, or they got their, you know, their face punched in or whatever, or it was like a super kick or something. And you're like, okay, this is where it happened. But in your case, you're saying the match just went as normal and, you know, you guys were trading blows back and forth, trading moves. And then the whole story that you just described, which is crazy. And you know, I was going to ask you, like, if you had lingering effects, but you said that you didn't, and thank God for that, because some people, when they go through this concussion, WWE just shelves them for months at a time to keep an eye on them. And, you know, they're a big company, so obviously they have their whole history with concussions and CTE and all that stuff, so they take that stuff very seriously. And even, I believe it was Daniel Bryan, right? They didn't let him come back because of the concussions. He had like 2 concussions, and they just never cleared him after that, even though his doctor cleared him, but they wouldn't, which is pretty crazy. You think they made the right call with that? Because he did end up going to AEW, but from what I hear, he's not wrestling there anymore anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know his exact history. So I think like if you have 1 or 2 concussions like on record, you know, it's one thing. But if he had like 4 that they had like documented throughout his career, and like one of them was like documented as like grade X, you know, whatever, and he wasn't able to pass the protocol for like until like 6 months after that, like, you know, I don't know the severity of it, so it's really hard for me to sit there and chime in with my opinion on that stuff. But I think it's like when it comes to brain injuries, you don't mess around. You know, you always err on the side of caution. Because, like I said, as much as like I might love wrestling and want to come back, like say that same thing happened to me again, and then it took me like 4 weeks until I felt normal, and then after that, you know, I could technically pass the tests on paper, but a doctor said, okay, well, now you're at high risk of that repeating, where even a normal bump could cause that again. And if it happens again, you might be permanently messed up for the rest of your life. It's like, do I go, just let me wrestle, doc? Like, I don't know. So it's hard to have a strong opinion one way or the other. I will say
it's very scary, man.
One funny thing that came out of that, because I've always been a guy who shaves my whole body, right? And for some reason, I went through a phase where I kind of just let it grow out for a little while, and I had, you know, like the chest and stomach hair. And when I was asking her all these questions, you know, where am I? How did I get here? What happened? You know, one of the things that would happen on every phone call was at some point I'd look down and go, why am I so hairy? And she's just like, you've been growing out your chest hair, babe. And I'm like, I wrestled like this? And she's like, yeah, you thought it'd be a cool change. And I was like, are you sure? And
I think that's your inner subconscious coming out and criticizing yourself.
Yeah, so I remember when I messed with her, I got home and I shaved, and I was sitting in bed and she had just gotten home. I go, babe, what happened to all my chest hair? And she's like, that's not funny.
Oh my God, you're trolling her in real life.
Yeah, but what a
crazy
saint for
stuff.
putting up with me.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I can only imagine. I know that I have my own craziness and my shenanigans, so my girl's a saint also for putting up with my insanity. High Stim Ace goes across the board. You know, it's not just a YouTube character, man. High Stim Ace is a lifestyle, so I know I have my quirks and definitely not easy to always get along with. Guys, if you're enjoying this episode so far, like the video, share the video, subscribe, and leave your questions in the comments. I haven't checked the comments yet. Always near the end of the show, I'm going to check the comments. If you have any questions for Hammer, myself, supplement related, wrestling related, whatever it may be, leave them and we will get to them in the end of the show. We're going to get to the next topic now. This is an interesting one. This is something that I normally wouldn't bring up as a topic, but it's been getting a lot of traction. And I actually have 2 videos over here, so we're going to play them. One of them is 13 minutes. We're obviously not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to skim through it a little bit. But former Nickelodeon star Tylor Chase was found homeless in, I think, somewhere in California, if I'm not mistaken, because that's where all the homeless crackheads are. But he was found there. Supposedly some random guy just recognized him from the show that he was on as a kid and started filming him, whatever. And I have that footage. And literally what happened afterwards was that his former co-star, Daniel Curtis Lee, got a hold of the video. And, you know, he was heartbroken about it because they were kid actors on this show. I don't know the name of the show. And he actually reached out to him. He got him some food. He got him cleaned up. He rented a hotel room for him. But what happened was he actually ended up trashing the entire hotel room. And obviously this is a guy that's on drugs and whatnot. But if you look at the pictures here, this was him as a kid. This is Tylor Chase as a kid on whatever show that was. But yeah, you see like a toaster over here in the bathtub, which is freaking dangerous, man. That's no joke. Toilet's all messed up. The bathroom looks like the glass of the shower has been shattered over there, which is freaking insane. And then we have the bed, and I don't even want to know what the hell that is on the bed. I don't know if that's poop or whatever, or if he was like rolling around with mud or something. I don't know, man, but it does not look good. And it's a sad situation. Obviously, a lot of people, especially people that, you know, dealt with fame as kids, a lot of them end up growing up and it's very, very difficult for them, you know. So I'm going to play the little clip over here. It's like 13 minutes. So I'm just going to skim through it a little bit, but just to give us an idea of what's going on with this guy.
Hey, can you guys believe it? This guy was actually on Nickelodeon. You were at Nickelodeon, huh?
Yeah.
For how long?
For about 3 years. I acted for a little more than 5 years.
Did you also do movies and all that?
Well, I started with theater, stage, before I did film.
So before we continue, let me just ask you, from the perspective of somebody that's passing by, right? If I were to see somebody, whether it's a wrestler, an actor, whatever, that I recognize from like 20 years ago, I don't know if it was just the way I was raised or whatever, but I personally wouldn't take out my phone, put it in their face, and start asking a billion questions. Am I crazy for having that thought process?
Yeah, man. I honestly don't even know if I'd say anything. Like, I don't know. Like, the part of me, like, because I could just imagine, like, say my wrestling career had gotten to a certain level higher than it currently has, because I consider myself like a D-list celebrity. Like, the amount of times I get recognized in public, it's not. I can go grocery shopping just fine. But say I'd gotten to the level of like, I don't know, like a WWE wrestler that enough people are recognizing, but maybe it was never like the main event guy who's going to be able to live off that for the rest of his life. Like, like a hardcore Holly or something, where it's like a lot of people are going to know who that guy is, but at the same time, he wasn't at the very top of the company, for example. And, from if I had gotten to like that point and then, once I was done, really struggled to find my footing in the post, fame, post, star career landscape, and completely fell off and ended up in this position, I would feel so bad about myself, and I'd be so self-conscious that I wouldn't want anyone to recognize me, I don't think it would make me feel good for people to be like, hey, I used to watch you. It would just be like a constant, it would be like ripping that wound open. So like, if I came across this situation, I would probably, I definitely wouldn't put my phone in the other guy's face, but I probably wouldn't even approach him regardless. Like, if anything, I might take a picture and send it to my friend and go, oh, dude, isn't this so-and-so that we used to watch? But I wouldn't make a whole thing about it,
So that's my perspective also. If I were in that situation, maybe I would take like a, sneak picture if the guy's not looking or whatever, and then maybe make a, send it to one of my buddies or whatever and ask about it or post it in like one of my group chats or whatever. But in general today, and you see these videos happening all the time. People are so obsessed with their phones, and the first thought process, the first instinct is, let me get to the phone and record. And you see even situations where people get attacked in the streets, whether it's a mugging or whatever, someone's getting beat up. Bro, people are pulling out their phones and recording. Like, bro, go and freaking help. Or if you don't want to help, call for help at least. People are just putting their phones out there and recording, which I think is pretty disgusting. But, I do want to see what we have here on the video, because I haven't even watched it. I figured we're going to watch this, for the first time together here and give our reaction. So I'm going to skim through this a little bit.
That's a pretty beautiful thing.
You didn't go throw away that trash. He was actually.
So yeah, he's obviously like tweaked out. He's obviously on something, and I can't even imagine being in that difficult situation where you're homeless, you're living on the streets, and you're miserable. So, people always say, oh, these guys are drug addicts, whatever. But you know what? If you're in a shitty situation like that and you have nothing to look forward to, then what else is there, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because that's one thing that I've always said is like, I don't understand how you even like how step one happens down this road, but like, I don't know, man. I've been in some low spots, and at times like really bad dark thoughts get in your head. So it just takes like one of those lows coupled with the right, or perhaps it should be said, the wrong opportunity for something to start, and then maybe it's like once the spark catches, it's just like the fire's going to start burning, and it's like maybe like once it starts, it's kind of gets harder and harder to put out. So it's easy to judge when you've never been there, but man, it's just hard, man. It's hard to kind of imagine, because it is just sad to see,
When I had that conversation with GGH, when I did the interview with him, he was talking about people in prison getting drugs and all that stuff. And one of the things that he told me in that interview was that a lot of these people, they have no hope and no foreseeable future. You know, they know they're there for X amount of years without the possibility of parole. So at that point, they're like, screw it. Like, what the hell do I have to lose? You know, let me get away from my own miserable reality, even for a little bit, and, you know, partake in whatever it is that's being offered to me. And again, it's a sad situation all around. But we're going to watch this for a few more minutes here, and then we're going to go to the co-star, Daniel Curtis Lee, because he actually did a little video afterwards, and I think that's the part that we really want to see more than anything else.
Well, I would say it was more so like the idea of like an artist of it was more like a youth of like God's child at an actor and with the Hollywood sort of preset. Well, they say that it was an obstacle, but it was absolutely a family setup. The most best plot into life.
So yeah, I'm just going to cut it here because honestly, I don't even want to watch any more of this. It's just a sad situation all around. But I wonder, because there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Nickelodeon in particular. I don't know if you heard some of these stories that were coming out. They did a whole documentary about it. I forgot where they put it, on Prime or whatever. There was like a whole thing about Nickelodeon and the child stars and just like weird stuff that was going on over there. Are you privy to any of this stuff? Like, do you know anything about this at all?
Let me close these blinds behind me. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's all good, brother. I'm going to check the comments in the meantime, see what's going on over here, because a lot of guys are leaving comments over here. We got Sophia saying hello. What up, Sophie? How you doing? Hello from Oregon. Best wishes on this new year. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you. And I hope you guys all had a very Merry Christmas. And we are definitely going to be talking about the new year. I know the topic's a little gloomy right now, but we're going to pick this right back up. We're going to talk about the new year and, you know, our goals and aspirations, because I think that this year I'm ready to make a couple of changes. But let's go ahead and play that other video, the response from Daniel Curtis.
Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you're somewhere nice and warm with your families. Unfortunately, Tylor Chase is not. And this is the case for millions of other Americans. All right, the hotel situation. We got Tylor shelter. Hooray. Everyone's happy. Tyler's happy. Not the case, guys. We got him into the hotel, and just that night, I receive a call from management. They're upset. The door is left open. Why is there a microwave in the tub? The refrigerator's turned over. I just feel so devastated. I'm at a loss. And his family told me that they had tried the hotel thing before and it didn't work. And of course, Dan, why did you assume that you were going to be able to, just fix this situation? I don't even think we should be at this point, guys. 3 nights ago, when we tried to get him to the hospital, the authorities should have. I don't understand how a system could be in place, right? We have all these social systems where help should be provided for these people facing mental health issues, drug abuse issues, right? Taxpayers vote on this stuff all the time. 5150 exists. A third party should be able to get someone into treatment, get them a psychological evaluation to figure out what is going on and allow them to detox. I'm just crushed that these systems are not working effectively. They're not quality systems. LA, we got to do better. Riverside County at this point, and California, there's the CARE Act. Let's make sure that it is functioning. There's no reason that his family should not be able to get him help. I'm really feeling devastated here.
So yeah, you could tell he's taking it very hard. This video goes on for like another 2 minutes, but we're gonna clip it over here. He seems like a very good dude, and honestly, I don't know anything about his career. I didn't really watch Nickelodeon as a kid. I was always more into like animated stuff, you know, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Batman, Superman. I was very into cartoons as a kid. And for whatever reason, Nickelodeon was never on my radar. You know, I wasn't like a big fan of Nickelodeon growing up, but I know a lot of kids were into it. And again, we even have a comment here in the chat, right? From our buddy, Mr. G237. He says, youth TV star used and abused and discarded. And the first thing that comes to mind, especially thinking about Nickelodeon, is Amanda Bynes. Do you remember Amanda Bynes?
Yeah. What a wild situation, huh?
Yeah, man, and we don't really need to get too into the nitty gritty because again, this is stuff that I don't really enjoy talking about, but it was making a lot of headlines, and in general, it's a whole sad situation. Not to get too political, but there really do need to be outlets for these people, especially when they have nothing else going on. So, wishing him the best of luck, Tylor Chase. I hope he gets the help he needs, and I think it's time right now at this point to shift over to something a little bit happier. So, Mr. Hammer, you hinted a couple of times with your Instagram stories that 2026 is going to be a year where you're really going to focus on specific goals, bodybuilding goals, wrestling. You teased a little bit. You posted a picture of you on stage and left a little bit of a tease over there. What are your ideal goals for 2026? What are you looking to get into in terms of wrestling, potentially getting on stage again? How's the year panning out for you?
I mean, dude, like 2025 was rough. Like the year started with me on the shelf from knee surgery, and like I just rushed back from that like way faster than I should have, and like way less calculated, to where my only concern was getting back in the ring, not how healthy I was once I got back in the ring, not how well I was going to be able to perform, not how ready I was, just get back in the ring. That's all I cared about. And got back in the ring, wasn't even ready. Every match was still very difficult for me. I had no time to actually get in shape, like ring condition. I hadn't even my first time back in a ring was in a live match. Like I didn't go in a ring and roll around and test out my leg. It was just like once I was like doctor was like, yeah, okay, well, 6 weeks is technically up. Maybe you'll be okay. I was like, okay, I'll take this booking, And then I was like back in TNA, and then obviously my TNA contract, I got released, and I think that was due to big part that I missed these months, out with knee surgery. And then it was just like, man, I was struggling, dude. Like, because not only I spent this time out and away, but also like the last couple of months of my time with TNA, like, however it plays out, I'm not blaming the company. I'm not one of these people who's like trying to have sour grapes, but it really did feel like at a point, like they just like kind of like stopped having any real investment in me as an asset. It felt like they were using me on the tapings because I was on salary. So it was like, we're paying, like, I'll put it this way. If I had signed a contract that was per appearance, which means they only pay you when they use you, I think they would have just completely stopped booking me whatsoever. That's how I felt like they saw me at some certain point. For some reason, whether it was by direct fault of me, they wanted something out of me that I didn't give them, whatever it was. But that's how I felt. And then once I started feeling like that, it's really hard to care as much, So it's like I stopped having that same spark for wrestling, and like I stopped putting like effort into anything creatively because I was like, I felt like it was pointless. I didn't feel inspired to go to work. It became a job, So that's how like the 2024 ended, and then I start 2025 out with injuries, and then when I come back, I get released from my contract. So I was just in the worst spot, dude. Like I was just kind of floating around for like another month or two there, just like not even wanting to be a wrestler. And like it took me some time to get back on my feet, and like now I kind of have the mindset of like, okay, well, I know where I'm at, and like someone can try to comfort me and say this isn't true, but I'm at the point where if something doesn't change, I'm gonna my career is slowly just going to fall down. I'm not at the point where a couple of years ago, I was at the point where I had this buzz and this optimism, and my age was still young, where people were like, "Oh, Hammer hasn't been here. He hasn't been here. This company hasn't. They're sleeping on him. Wait till they see him." And there was this like kind of this buzz where it's like I could just keep doing exactly what I was doing, and I just need more time for something to happen. And now I'm kind of at this point where it's like I've been these places, I've done these things, I've done this and that. So it's like if I just keep on autopilot right now and do exactly what I'm doing, I'm just slowly going to fall down the ladder, which is fine. I realize that. So I'm just kind of in the mindset of something has to change for 2026. And I'm just going to make a real big push to make some things happen. I have some ideas. I'm not sure exactly what all of that is, but I feel very much motivated to make some changes happen because I know it's kind of like the ball's in my court to make that happen. You know, and it's like I'm not saying I don't have good opportunities and good things that is already happening for me. I'm really grateful for the opportunities with MLW and NWA and the top independents I'm still working for. But at the same time, if that ends tomorrow, then I have to go apply to a job, you know. And the goal with wrestling is when you're done, you have money so that you can kind of sit back and relax for a little while and figure out what your next choice in life is. And I want to put myself in that position. So that being said, I know I have some ideas of things I want to make happen, and then also just more motivation than ever, just like work hard and just the typical grind, you know, like, I've always been a put my head down and grind kind of guy. But I just really have the fire under my ass to make it happen this year, you know?
But you see, that's what I like about you, because a lot of people, if they were in your situation, and I didn't even know about any of these things until just, now when you told me how you feel and how you view your career, I never looked at it that way whatsoever. But obviously, you know your situation better than anyone else. But what I like about you, and, I have the same type of character trait, you don't let that crush you. You don't let that bring you down. If anything, you use that negativity to fuel and motivate you, which I think is very admirable. And in general, going back to the, I guess you could say, darker topics that we discussed today, you can't ever let yourself get in a place where you're going to be depressed and you're going to get into that pit, because as somebody that dealt with depression for many years during my teens and my 20s, and I smoked a lot of weed and I ate 2 tubs of Haagen-Dazs a night, and I was just wallowing in my misery, I know firsthand how hard it is to get out of that pit. You literally have to force yourself out. And no matter what people do to try to cheer you up, whether it's your friends, your family members, whatever, nothing helps. When you're in that state of mind, you're the only person you can rely on. You and God, obviously, I do believe in that. You and God are the only two that can help yourself out of that situation. So now, thank God, I am doing much, much better. And I'm always in this place where it's almost like I force positivity, and sometimes it kind of pisses people off where I do that because they think maybe I'm disingenuous. But it's not that I'm disingenuous. It's the fact that I know if I succumb to these negative feelings, especially dealing with stuff in my personal life, and I've been dealing with a lot of stuff in my personal life over the past 5-6 months, you got to power on through. You got to put on a big smile, and you got to put that positive energy out there. And remind yourself that no matter how bad it gets, there's always somebody out there that has it worse, that wishes that he or she would be in your situation. So just a little bit of words of encouragement there, man.
Yeah, man. So what about you then? So what's on the horizon for you?
What's on the horizon for me? So I'm working in my job already for like 7 or 8 years. And thank God I'm happy. I got a promotion, which, I'm very happy about. I'm getting paid decently for somebody that lives in New York City, somebody that doesn't have any degrees whatsoever, because unfortunately I did kind of get screwed over. When I was in college, I had a 4.0 GPA. I was there for a year and a half. I had plans to major in psychology. I wanted to transfer to a different school, a 4-year school. And my dad, being that he's a very impulsive person, decided to move the entire family out of the country while I was in the middle of college. So it was either move with us out of the country, or you stay back and you find a job and you find an apartment. Basically, get fucked. So that was my situation, and I didn't want to move. I like America with all its flaws. I love America. I was born here, and I'm patriotic, and I love this country to death. So I decided to stay, and luckily I found the apartment that I'm still at 13 years later. Pretty crazy little walk-in studio, but hey, I'm happy. I don't need a lot of space, so it's all good. Found a job in the special education field, and I kind of worked my way up the ladder, so I don't have any degrees or any diplomas other than a couple of certifications that I have, but I have a lot of experience, hands-on experience, and that's how I learn. There's people that learn better from books and from college and learning and structure. I'm a hands-on learner. I learn when I'm actually out in the field. You can teach me all the theoretical stuff in the world, and I don't know if it's my ADHD or whatever, but it's going to go in one ear and come out the other ones. That's why when it comes to like studying by reading stuff, I don't retain any of the stuff. I really don't. And really, it's hands-on learning where I pick things up very, very quickly. You know, just like when I was younger, I used to do a little bit of construction and a whole bunch of other stuff. So everything I learn is hands-on. But my goal for this year, I kind of want to advance a little bit in my field. And I don't know if that involves me maybe taking classes a couple of times a week online or whatever it is, and deciding kind of what I want to do, because I'm 35 years old. I'm not getting any younger. And, you know, the YouTube thing is great. I love doing the reviews. I love doing these podcasts. I literally look forward to this the entire week. I have a lot of fun doing these shows. And that's definitely something that we're going to work on building. And I have a couple of plans down the line to bring special guests on and really make an amazing brand over here, with you included, obviously, because I view you as a brother. But for my personal goals, you know, other than advancing careers and trying to help my financial situation a little bit, I also really want to dial in when it comes to the diet and training, because I feel like, I don't want to say that I've been on autopilot, but because of the nagging injuries that I've been dealing with, it's just been very, very difficult for me to come to a routine. And now that I got that work promotion, I'm not getting home until 6:15 p.m. and it's cold outside. It's freezing over here. So to motivate myself to go to the gym, you know, and I only get there at like 6:45, so I only work out for an hour, and sometimes I have to cut certain exercises out and whatever. My life hasn't had structure for the past couple of months, and I really want to kind of try to structure and balance things out as well as I can. And despite whatever circumstances I deal with, I really want to prioritize that. And I really got to get the diet in check. You know, even though I'm on Reddit right now and I'm not eating a lot, I'm definitely eating less than 2,000 calories a day, but I haven't really been eating the best since around Thanksgiving time. And this goes back to my personality. I have a very extremist personality. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, you know? So when I'm on the diet, when I'm dialed in, it's ground turkey breast with sugar-free barbecue sauce and chicken breast and skinless chicken thighs and literally protein shakes and vegetables and fiber. And I have like the whole thing dialed in. But if it ever gets to the point where it's Thanksgiving or Christmas time or whatever, and I veer off just a little bit, oh, it's just one cake piece, it's just one pastry, it's just one bowl of ice cream. Once that glass shatters, then it's open season. And like I was telling you the other day, bro, I literally ate half a tub of Turkey Hill mint chocolate chip. By the way, best freaking ice cream on the planet, but that's besides the point. So I really do want to try to dial in the diet a little bit, you know, cut back on these Uber orders, and really want to focus on building a cleaner, healthier lifestyle with a little bit more structure going forward. And obviously want to continue investing in this YouTube channel, really have a lot of plans. It's just a matter of time. You know, I really just don't have the time. I always say if there were 36 hours in a day, it would be great. I would have time to do everything. But a lot of times I'm not even putting out as much videos as I want. I have so many supplements here that I still need to review that were sent to me months ago, and I haven't reviewed yet because I just don't have the time. You know, It's just been really, really insane. But like we said earlier, you got to maintain a positive attitude, stay strong mentally, because it all comes from the mind.
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing is like just getting a routine, man, because it's like that, like getting into a routine that locks you in, because like you said, like once you start to veer off a little bit, it's so easy to like completely lose sight of what you're doing, you know. And then it's like I'll just speak to like me personally, like this month has been like, and it's so frustrating for me personally, because I get to a point where I want a break and I want to like ease off a little bit. I feel like I really need it, but then when I try to pull back, I'm so terrible with balance, you know. Um, and like I trained on Christmas Eve, and I tried to train the day before that, so the 23rd. I literally was at the gym, and this is kind of embarrassing to even say, but I was trying to get into my workout and I just could not focus, and I couldn't get into it, and I felt like I was having such a hard time. I literally had like a breakdown and a panic attack, and I left the gym and I just went home, and like I called that day a wash. And I
Was
went
that
back
the
the
day
next
that you
day.
took the was that the day that you took the God mode pre-workout?
It might have been. It might have been. But then I went back. And it's Christmas Eve, and I'm like, okay, and the same thing was freaking happening to me. And then, so I train a very specific way. I follow very specific programs on like certain days, like certain exercises. So I know I have like very clear cut goals to hit. And so it's like, okay, I did this leg machine for 8 plates for 7 reps. So I know I have to do 8 reps, or I know I have to put another plate on, right? It's like so it's very easy for me to have a goal. And like I was in tears at the gym. I called Courtney and I was like having a panic attack. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And she's like, just come home, just come home, just come home. We had gotten in a fight that morning over like stupid stuff. And so I was just like, my whole brain was scattered, and I was about to just pack it up and leave. And I'd taken the weight, I had unracked it and done 1 rep, and it felt so impossible, like so fucking impossible. And then I just knew in my head, I was like, if you can just get this first set, if you can just do the first set and beat your numbers, you will turn on that part of your brain that says you can do this. Just get this first fucking hurdle out of the way. And I did it. And then it was like, I still felt pretty shitty. And then I did the next set, and I was like, okay, just keep going. And I just slowly started finishing the workout. I was able to have a good workout, but I was like, okay, if that's what I have to go through to have a good workout right now, my brain is not in the place for this. Like, I need to rest. So I knew the next day was Christmas, and then I knew today or tomorrow. So Monday, what is it going to be? The 29th, Courtney and I are leaving for a trip for like 3 or 4 days. We're going to get a cabin. So I'm going to be on a break that whole time anyway. So I was like, maybe I should just start my break on Christmas, because I'm not going to train on Christmas, and then just wait until we get back from our trip. And then I'll be off stims that whole time. I'll be off training that whole time. I've already been off all the super supplements, I'm not even taking like my TRT or anything like that right now. It's just completely letting my body like detox. And then once we come back January 1st, I will be ready to push the gas down full throttle. And then of course, like 1 day after Christmas, I'm like having like the itch, like I need to do something. So I get all freaking stimmed up to do my cardio. But I still didn't go weight train. And then the day after that, which was yesterday, I was like, fuck it. I need a weight train. I need to. And I woke up and I got ready for the gym, but I was like, I'll just go and kind of just pump up my arms and do a workout where I'm like, no real pressure. I was in so much, I had all these nagging injuries that I know I need to be resting. I'm trying to train. I'm training around this, and this exercise hurts and I can't focus. Did a couple sets. I was like, screw this. I went home. And also, I know I need the stim break. So I take like this strong pre-workout that's like not even hitting. I'm like 600 milligrams of caffeine and I'm still yawning. And I'm just like, every sign is like, why did you come? You knew you weren't supposed to come. And then I wake up today and it's like the exact same thing. I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to rest, taking today off, taking off stims. But all I have is this voice in my head, like, you should go train. Like, you're supposed to do this. If you don't do this, you're a failure. You're a loser. You're being lazy. All these things in my head, right? And then I'm able to shut them up. But it's like you said, where it's like, if I go to the gym, I'm in my routine. I eat the exact perfect breakfast I know is my pre-workout meal. Then I go train. I do my intra-workout shake. I do my post-workout meal. But because I didn't train this morning, I'll have a different breakfast. Oh, okay. And I kept it good, turkey bacon and eggs and potatoes, all healthy. But then when I'm done, now I can grab a handful of candy because I don't have to worry about, oh crap, I don't want spiked insulin because I'm about to go train. So this candy doesn't matter. And then it's like, then I see something else. I'm like, I just kept all these stupid thoughts of like, oh, just have some of this. And it's like, I almost start completely derailing my day because one little thing changes, and it's so stupid. But I so get how like you're talking about, like when you let yourself stray off the path just a little bit, it's like next thing you know, you don't even know where the path is,
Bro, you're literally describing me. Everything you said, it's literally me to a T. And again, it goes back to me eating half a tub of the Turkey Hill the other night. But yeah, that's pretty much the situation with me. If I don't have a routine or whatever, and it's not just that, first of all, for me, training, it's kind of like my addiction, as somebody that used to smoke pot heavily. and I would get my dopamine from smoking weed. Now I get my dopamine from lifting weights, and obviously the high Stim pre-workouts, the ones I take that make me euphoric and whatever. And I take that high, if you want to call it that, the buzz, and I channel it towards training. And then when I come home after, I just feel amazing, endorphins running all over the place, dopamine's up there, just everything just feels amazing, and it kind of resets me mentally. So even if I'm having a bad day, but then I go to the gym and have a good workout or even a decent workout, even something better than I expected, it's going to set my day right. And it's funny because I like using Saturday as an example, right? A lot of times I'll sleep in until like 8:30 a.m., which I know that's early to some people, but for me, that's considered sleeping in, because I wake up at 6:30, 6:40 every day for work. So my body naturally, a lot of times on Saturday, I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, I got to go use the bathroom. And then it's like, okay, I'm up already, but then I'll force myself to like sleep for another hour. But my point is, I can't just get up on a Saturday. And even if it's like a day where I'm beat up and I'm injured or whatever, I can't get up on a Saturday and just go play video games. I can't do that, bro. I feel like I haven't earned it. Does that make sense to you? Like, I have to go to the gym. I got to grind for 2 hours, 2.5 hours on Saturday. And then after I completed that, and I know I did what I had to do for the day, then I can come home. I can play my video games. I can read my books. I can chill. I can watch a movie with my girlfriend. I can do all those things as a reward. And I don't know, maybe it's just a weird extremist mentality I have, but do you see it like that as well?
Dude, 100%, dude. Like, it's like, yeah, it feels like you're cheating yourself if you don't do that, and it's weird because it's like you said, it's a good thing. It's a dopamine rush. It's a positive element of our lives, but there is times when it does become detrimental. Like, and that's the thing, for me, I maybe take it to the extreme because, like I said, I get to the point where like my training is progressive. So if I don't beat a lift, I feel like a failure. So if I go to a gym session and I don't beat my numbers, it's not like, well, at least I tried my hardest. I'll come home and I'll have like this cloud of negativity with me. Like, I've messed up. So there'll be days when like I'm approaching a workout where I'm like, I know this was like a really hard workout last time and I barely made it. So, I'll take some extra pre-workout. The next thing you know, now I'm taking extra stimulants and doing this and that. And then it's like, okay, now I have to do my cardio later, but I'm so sore. Like my knee is flaring up so that I can barely move. So I'll take some kratom to help get me through this workout. And then it's like, next thing you know, I'm becoming a freaking drug addict, like taking all these peptides and stimulants and, hormones and basically painkillers with like kratom and stuff to get through this. And then it's like, this isn't good. Like, I need to back off. I need to do it. And that's the thing. Cause after a reset, bro, I remember after my last reset, I took Smack by Vices and Vibes, which is like 300 milligrams of caffeine. And I felt like I was on rocket fuel because I just gave my body a reset, and it's a reset with training stimulus. It's a reset. Lets your body get back into sleep more normally, gets you more excited to be at the gym rather than just feeling like it's something that you're supposed to do, because we have those days where it's like you're going to the gym and like you feel like you're happy that you're going to the gym, but at the same time, as soon as you get there, you're kind of like counting down, like, okay, did I do enough to go home yet? And it's like that's a really bad feeling too, because like it goes from being this thing that you love to being like a chore, but it's like also a chore that you feel like you want to do it, but as soon as you start doing it, you're like, I'm not having fun right now, and that's like the worst freaking feeling, And then your pre-workout that maybe you love, like, oh, this is my favorite pre-workout, so euphoric. You take it and it doesn't do jack shit because you fried your receptors because you've just been going too hard and not sleeping right and all these things. So it's hard, man. It's like it's definitely like a lifestyle where it's a very positive thing, and to have this routine is a great structure and builds for people. But at the same time, you have to be able to check yourself, and like the life of restriction, as far as that's the GGH term, the life of restriction, as far as like not eating trash and not playing video games when you should be training and not doing all this stuff is one thing, but you also have to view it the other way where it's like, okay, am I just using my gym time as a crutch to maybe not deal with some, psychological problems I'm having at the time, some depression I'm not dealing with. Am I using stimulants? Am I overusing stimulants because, you know, I'm really overtrained and my body needs a couple rest days? There's all these elements to it, and it's really freaking hard to govern all of them. It's so freaking hard. I'm sitting here talking like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. Like, I'm still figuring this out every freaking day.
Bro, we're all figuring everything out day by day. That's why that's the best mentality. And as Tony Horton from the creator of P90X says, do your best and forget the rest. I love that quote, man. It's a great quote. And I think this little vacation that you're taking is going to be really good for you, both physically and mentally. So I really hope you enjoy it. And it's going to be a good time for you to reset and recover. And I've been saying this for months already. I'm due for a stim break myself. It's just that I'm high stim ace, man. How the hell can high stim ace take a freaking stim break, bro? You know,
it's so hard, man. Like, it's hard. It's like first of all, some people will be like, oh, so you do like non-stim pre-workouts when you are doing a stim break? I'm like, no, I don't train because I know it's going to be awful. Like, if I go to the gym with 0 stimulants, not even like a sniff of caffeine, I'm just not going to go. I can barely do cardio like that, but much less like an aggressive weight training session. But man, dude, freaking even just like the first couple days of a stim break, where like today I have nothing particularly hard to do. Like, I was cleaning my house. I have to, you know, do this podcast. I have some other stuff I got to take care of, but nothing like super physically or mentally demanding. But still, just to wake up and feel so foggy. And like, and just to know, like, that 1 cup of coffee would clear this away, you know, but you still have to go, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to cave. It's freaking hard.
I know, bro. For me, that's the first thing I go, like, I'm a zombie when I wake up in the morning and I go straight for the coffee before anything else, you know, it's what it is. We're going to take a couple of questions now, guys. If you have any other questions for myself, for Hammer, wrestling related, life related, anything. I know this show was a little bit more serious than our usual shows. We just ended up getting into a bunch of serious conversations. but I think it's important to have conversations like that once in a while. We are real. We are genuine. None of this is rehearsed beforehand. And we just kind of go with the flow. So it's important to have these conversations. But let me see. We have a question here from our buddy, Mr. G237. What do you guys think of the Stim from Vietnam Stim Massacre coming out in 2026? It could be the new strongest pre-workout. So I think he's talking about the collaboration they're doing with Project M Supplements. Is that the one?
Yeah.
I looked at the label. I don't know if the label's out there yet or not, so I'm not going to reveal the formula in case, you know, because I forgot if he sent it to me personally. I think he DM'd me the label. I don't think it's out there yet, but I'm going to say that some of the dosages are very interesting. It's very different. And if it reads, you know, on label, if the real world effects are the same way it reads on label, I think it's going to be a very interesting experience.
Yeah. I liked the label. He actually was like, at first, like, asking me for my opinion and if I'd change anything. And we kind of went back and forth on a couple of things. He actually did take into consideration some of my recommendations, which was really cool. And the final product looked really freaking awesome. And then there was one part of it that I was like, oh, this is going to be the part that breaks a lot of people. And it was the alpha yo dosage. I want to say it was 4 or 5 milligrams. And that was on top of, like, I'm not going to say the rest of the label, but the label is stacked before that. Like, it was a strong product if that was left off. And then that was there. So that's going to scare a lot of people. That being said, if it's the same sourcing that Project M uses for all their Alpha Yo, their Alpha Yo is pretty smooth and chill. So when I take 3 milligrams of theirs versus like 3 milligrams of like the Extremis Cartel Alpha Yo, for example, it's like, I would say it's like 60% of the hit. So 4 or 5 milligrams, I think is going to be reasonable, but for a lot of people, that's going to scare them. You know?
Oh yeah, I love the Extremis Cartel Alpha Yo. That one hits so freaking nicely. 1 capsule, more than enough to turn anything into a speedy effect. I really like it. The Araya is also really good, but yeah, the Project M Rewolskine, even 3 milligrams feels more like 1 milligram of Alpha Yo, which I'm okay with for the record.
No,
because Alpha Yo is one.
I love having the flexibility of that product because I use it very frequently because it's not so overwhelming. But that being said, some people want it to be overwhelming, but it's like, I'm using. If I want overwhelming, I know how to get it. But if I want a more chill experience, I use that one.
Bro, I ran, speaking of Alpha, I ran Edge of Insanity the other day. It's probably been like a good month and a half or 2 months since I ran it. And I combined just one of the Mr. White Juglins Regia DMHA capsules on top of it. So 100 milligrams of DMHA or Juglins, whatever it is. But it was such an amazing experience, man. It added just enough of that mood elevation and background buzz, and it synergized with that Alpha Yo buzz from the Edge of Insanity, which already gets you like so hopped up. And then the 1 gram of GABA also to smoothen it out. It's such a freaking amazing product. I don't know how people say that Edge of Insanity is a daily to them. It boggles my mind how people say it's a daily, especially with the GABA dose. You know, spoiler alert, it's going to end up on my top Stim Junkie pre-workouts of the year. And I know some people, I could already hear some people saying, oh, I take it as a daily driver. It should have been on the medium Stim list. No way, man. That thing always hits. And yeah, if you're running it every single day, then maybe it won't be as effective over a long period of time. But you could say that for literally any pre-workout. You could run freaking crack DMAA. Bro, I didn't tell you. I opened a brand new, I opened a brand new tub yesterday of crack, and this one here is the one that says 120 milligrams of DMAA in front. So this is like the good original batch. It's a little bit clumped up on the inside. I'm going to see if the camera can pick it up. You can see it's like a little bit clumpy. Oh, shit. Damn, right on my laptop. Bro, this little thing. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to clean this shit up. Look at this. This little bowl right
That's
on my
valuable.
laptop.
That's a golden nugget right there.
I'm going to have to snort the freaking powder off of my keyboard right now. It literally got all over the keyboard. God damn, bro. It's a new laptop, too. But anyway, yeah, bloopers. The bloopers are staying in the final cut. We're not taking anything out. Sophia, our good friend, big Hammerstone fan, says, Hammer, I might be able to go to your show at GCW on Valentine's Day. Sweet.
Awesome. I believe that's the one in LA. So,
do you know who you're wrestling yet, or it's TBA?
I don't believe they've announced it, but they have back-to-back shows in LA and Arizona, and I'm super excited. For some reason, GCW is not one of those companies. Excuse me, Stim break. GCW is not one of those companies that I wrestle for very frequently, but I always have a fun time when I do. Last time when they're LA, I wrestled Effie for the championship, so we'll see how it goes this time.
You mentioned earlier on the show that you wrestled Willie Mack, right? When you're talking about the concussion story.
Yes, sir.
He's in JCW. He's one of the big stars over there.
Is he?
Yeah. It's bro, this show is amazing, man. I know you're so limited with your time, but when you have a couple of free minutes here and there, you got to check out at least like the last 2-3 episodes because it's so freaking good, man. It's been such a breath of fresh air for me to watch this. Me and my girl look forward to it. We've been watching it live on Thursday nights. It's on YouTube. It's free. And man, it just brings me back to those days when I was a kid and waiting for those shows. And people could say it's over the top, it's crazy, whatever. But you know what? That shit is so entertaining to me. I will take the over the top crazy shenanigans over just bland, boring, generic, same shit every week. Like, unfortunately, WWE has become. Mr. G says Alex/Killer Cross/Brian Cage should be huge wherever they are. I blame all the promotion's creative teams. I wish I was the owner of a wrestling company. These three would be my stars. Yeah, so 100% agreed. I mean, all three of you have freaking crazy build, good character. And yeah, sometimes it's just circumstances, you know, like you said, with the whole thing with TNA, the injury, you know, and you felt like that contributed to whatever went down there. A lot of times it's just, you know, wrong place at the wrong time. Like we even spoke about EC3 a couple of weeks ago, and you told me that it was just, you know, where he was at that time, circumstances, and sometimes luck really plays a big role in it, you know. But man, any company would be blessed to have the three of you headlining. I mean, that's just incredible. Ray Sanchez says, agreed, Mr. G. They put in the work to actually look like wrestlers. There you go, you see? And that's what it comes down to. You know, back in the day, and, you know, Vince Russo talks about this a lot on his podcast, wrestlers looked like wrestlers, you know, and there's no, you know, I'm not saying that the little guys shouldn't be in the show. Obviously, I like watching the cruiserweights, the X Division, you know, I enjoyed the matches, but you know, everybody has their place on the card. Not everybody could be at the top. Not everybody could be the main eventer. You know, I'm old school, and even Vince McMahon used to say this, and I agree that if you're at the top, you got to look a certain way. You know, you're a TV star. You know, if I turn on the TV, and not to pick on him again, but I see Sami Zayn as champion, like he looks like my neighbor. You know, to me, it's not exciting. I want to look and see and say, oh my God, this is look at this guy,
Yeah.
look at this freaking physique. You mean otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I have a freaking mohawk and muscles and stuff, and that doesn't mean that you're a good wrestler. But like anytime I go on a flight or go in public or walk into an airport, someone be, hey, what are you, a pro wrestler or something? I'm like, yeah,
Actually.
really?
Oh my god, a lot of comments over here. I'm not going to highlight all these comments, but just want to let you guys know that I appreciate it. Everyone over here basically wishing us a happy 2026, talking about their own struggles and whatnot, people being motivational over here. I love it, man. We got the best community over here and we're growing by the week, so I really appreciate you guys. Our buddy Ray Sanchez again says, had those days too. Hammer packed it up and went home when I wasn't feeling it, whether it's due to a packed gym or life. Sometimes kicking your ass, I'll kick myself over it. We got to remember to sometimes take it easy on ourselves because we are our own worst critics, so sometimes you just got to take it easy, and again, it goes back to the mental aspect. You feel like maybe you didn't earn that movie night or whatever. If you didn't hit the gym or whatever, maybe you didn't earn that cheat meal. I'm like that also, man. Every time I have a cheat meal, the next day I'm loading up on thermogenics. I hit the weights like a lunatic. I hit the sauna. I do the cardio. I make sure to eat like half the amount of calories. It's almost like I'm punishing myself, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's weird, man. This this lifestyle can definitely get to you. Let me see. We got some more comments over here. Nicholas says, Hammer, the issue is that you are a pro and you have the feelings of necessity to get better rather than a senior like me who lifts heavy. Stupidly hurt my back recently, but the motivation is many decades. Yeah, man. Got to stay motivated and you got to stay disciplined. That's definitely the most important aspect of it. We got one more question here. By the way, did you get any Instagram questions this week or no?
I did not.
I don't think you made a post even, right? Because we kind of did everything last second today.
Yeah, we kind of did, yeah.
Let me see. You guys should try out the Beat It Up pre-workout, HighStimPreworkouts.com. Just got in stock. It hits like a bathtub pre, but didn't feel like it. They also have another called Dark Energy. Dark Energy?
Yeah, it's a new one, but it's not the Dark Energy. It's just a new pre-workout using the name. He actually sent me an email. I forgot to get back to him, so I apologize, Roy. I meant to get back to your email the other day. I think I read it while I was doing stairs. So I have enough finger dexterity that I could open the email and read, but definitely not enough that I'm able to type out a response. Yeah, he told me about these two, and I'm interested. I didn't even know High Stim Pre-Workout was back up and running.
Neither did I. I texted him the other day and I asked him when the site's going to be updated or whatnot. I haven't heard anything back from him, so I didn't even know they were operational again.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of good stuff from him, man. Like, not everything was a hitter. I had that Sharp AMP or AMF, whatever, and that one, other reviewers gave it very good reviews. Did not vibe well with me, man. Freaking nice and flush for like an hour straight, itching, prickling. My ears turned super red. My elbows turned super red. It was very, very uncomfortable. Yeah. But let me see. We got a few more here. Roy Sanchez says, got one more question for Hammer. Can he still hit that Fosbury flop? Is that a finisher?
The Fosbury flop is when you're running and then you twist and do the backflip over the top rope.
Oh, okay, cool.
I honestly probably haven't done that move in 4 or 5 years. So could I, in theory, still do it? Possibly, but it's not one I'm itching to try anytime soon.
What's the craziest move you've ever done in terms of like crazy athletics?
Probably that. I mean, so the thing is, also the first time I ever did that move, I was in a match with my buddy. And so the spot where the guy will go down for the back body drop, and Rob Van Dam is running the ropes and he turns and backflips over the guy.
Yeah,
but he kind of back rolls over the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that all the time. That was one of my signature things, and I got so good at doing it that sometimes I would not even touch the guy. So I like some people, like when you roll over them, they'll be like, when I'm on your back, can you give me a little push to help me finish the roll? I'd tell them, don't pop me up, and I would roll over them. And then I started being so quick and so good at it that sometimes I wouldn't even touch them. I'd just turn and backflip over them, and I'd be behind them. So I got in my head, like, I think I could do that over the top rope as a dive, like the twisting backflip. But I'd never done it. But I just called it in a match. And I remember my buddy Joe, he takes the bump, he sells to the outside. and it's my moment. Like I called this. There's no way out of it. I've never done it. I don't know if how it's gonna go. I told the ref, I was like, say a prayer. I just fucking took off and did it, and so that spot's always crazy. I used to do a 450. That was like the first finishing move that like we had in mind for me, because my first trainer was like a lucha guy. So I was, obviously I wasn't like small, but I was a lot lighter. I was like 215 or 220 when I started wrestling. So I was a lot more athletic and like limber, I should say. So he had me doing all kinds of crazy flips and stuff, and yeah, I used to do a 450. But then I remember the next wrestling school I went to was like a very American style training, and like they saw me as like a big muscular guy, and they're like, "Why are you doing all this lucha bullshit?" And they're like, "Don't ever." And so I stopped doing all of it, and then like the next time I like went up to the top rope to try to do a 450, I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I never did it again.
Bro, I love when Jim Cornette goes off on his rants against the guys doing the flip-flops and all that stuff, because he is such an entertaining character. And I know him and Vince Russo are arch enemies, and I'm a Vince Russo guy, but Cornette's very entertaining, objectively speaking, So when he goes off on his rants, and he has like these words, like the Southern terminology that he uses for certain scenarios, and it's freaking hilarious. But when he goes off on these people, man, it's crazy. Okay, we have our last question here, and we're going to round it off after this. This is from our buddy Harry, fellow reviewer from Premium Supplement Reviews. Guys, give him a follow. Good dude and a good friend of the channel. He says, what up, my fellow reviewers? Favorite stacks entering 2026/new supplement hauls. So before we get into the stacks, I didn't do an unboxing for this because I feel like I just did an unboxing for Apollo Nutrition not too long ago, and I just had a box come in from them yesterday, which I paid for, by the way, paid for it. It was a crazy 50% off everything sale because they just won Brand of the Year from Stacked for the third time, and they did like this 72-hour sale where everything was 50% off, and they threw in free supplements. I got so much stuff. I spent $150 and I probably got like $400 worth of stuff, but it's all like essential stuff that I use regularly. So I got my Enigma intro workout because I freaking love that one. The Paloma flavor, which is so freaking good. I got another one of the hydration formulas, the strawberry margarita. I got myself Molotov non-stim, the new formula, because they didn't send me that one to review. They sent me just the Chaos, which has caffeine. And this is the stim-free one, which I love to stack. And what else did I get? I didn't get any proteins because I actually have a crap ton of proteins right now that I'm going through. But I got a couple of other stuff like the fiber I got, and I got I got this freaking crazy jug over here, man. This freaking Apollo Nutrition jug for $17, man. This thing is really nice and sturdy. Really like it. Leak proof, BPA free, all that other fun stuff. So yeah, I got a few more things, but like literally $150 got me like $400 worth of stuff, and they threw in the what's it called, the Senchi pump formula. So I'm sitting on like 2 tubs of that right now. And they also threw in Black Tulip for free. They're crazy thermogenic, which just made my top fat burners list. That one's crazy, bro. You got to try that one out. Maybe I'll send you the tub since I have another one anyway. But that one's crazy. And they also threw in something else for free. Oh, the glucose disposal agents. I saw you did a review on one of those products recently. So they sent one and they said you could take 1 pill in the morning, 1 in the evening. So I'm like, fuck it, why not? For a month and a half, I'll run it, and maybe I'll do a review on it. We'll see. But yeah, that's my recent haul. Any recent ones you got?
No, the last big one I got was the Black Friday haul from my NutriCartel purchase, and then around that time, Huge Supplements sent out a pretty decently sized package. Some of their proteins or intra workout, the new Rect, and then I got a package from Nutrex, which was not huge, but it was a couple things: their carnitine, their pre workout. 1 or 2 other things, but I'm backlogged, with stuff right now. And then on top of that, like I knew, like coming down to this like last couple of weeks of training in December, I was like, how we always have that mindset of like, oh crap, I got to review this, I got to review that, I got to do this, I was like, you know what, like I'm going to run whatever I want. When it comes to workout day, I'm going to take the pre-workout that I want to run. I don't care if I have something else I have to review. I don't care if whatever. I'm just going to choose what I feel like running for the day, you know, and so I'm super backed up on stuff right now. And then I knew I was like coming up on this stim break too, so I'm even further behind. But yeah, so I'm trying not to have any influxes of packages. I have like random boxes around the house right now. Like I have my big supplement shelf that everyone sees on the videos, and then I have like an armoire in my bedroom that's full of stuff too. And then I have like boxes hidden up in the closet, and then I have like a box here in the living room. I'm on overflow right now, so I need to start maybe selling some stuff off. I wanted to do kind of a similar thing to what Jim Dad was doing, where he was selling his apparel and giving out free samples of stuff with it. I just haven't gotten around to that, you know.
Bro, I can't even imagine how much work that takes to pack samples like that. Like, I personally just don't have the time to do it. But
I hate doing it. Everyone, I'll tell people on like my YouTube videos, like whenever someone's like curious about something, I'm like, hey, send me a DM. If you pay for shipping, I'll send you samples of the stuff for free. Just because I like to hear people's feedback and, you know, build the community or whatever. But even just packing up 3 or 4 samples of something is so freaking annoying, bro. Like,
you got to weigh it out. You got to put in the baggie, put the little label on it. It takes time. It's time consuming, especially if you're selling like a bunch or whatever, or giving away a bunch. It takes time, you know, and I just have very limited time in this day and age. I'm not even uploading as much as I'd like to on the channel because just my schedule's been swamped. But one day at a time, man. One day at a time. And with that being said, I think that's where we're going to end it for today. We're already going on an hour and 25 minutes. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Let's make this an amazing year, no matter what you guys are dealing with, whether you're riding a high, whether you're in a pit of despair, no matter what, guys, stay strong, stay motivated, stay disciplined. You got to be mentally strong, and every one of us is going to make it, all right? So much love to everybody. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you guys that tune in, that support the channel. It really means a lot. If you guys can just leave a like on your way out, it helps the algorithm. It really means a lot. And obviously subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot of new content coming out. As you guys see, we're branching out. We're doing the podcast. I have plans to bring a lot of special guests on this episode as well. So on the series rather. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell. All that other fun stuff. And Alex, my friend, please give your plugs.
Same old, man. Click like, share, subscribe. Click all the buttons. Do all the things.
Do all the things. Everything's in the video description. Alex's Instagram, the YouTube channel, everything. He's probably putting out more content than I am in this day and age, so definitely check out his videos. Quality, entertaining, and probably the best thumbnails in the game, if I do say so myself. I freaking love the one with the what was it? The sleep aid, the hot chocolate one. You're just like holding the tea kettle, and you have like this smile. I don't know why it reminded me of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. You remember that animated Disney movie? He was like pouring the tea and he had like that big smile. So that really, I don't know, that thumbnail reminded me of that and I was cracking up. But anyway, guys, wishing you all an amazing new year. 2026 is going to be our year. Let's crush it. And with that being said, we're going to say goodbye. Much love to everybody. Take care.